This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very warm welcome to Windsor Woods and White Oaks Elementary. We very warmly welcome you to this school drive. My name is Patrick. Joining me on camera is Bongay, and we are coming to you from the Masai Mara, which is all the way in Kenya, which is a part of Africa. Now we have some lions here with us today, and if you have any questions, feel free to send them through to us. We would love to answer everything that you want to know about these awesome cats. Now, they have had a bit of a meal with them as well. We can see here they have caught themselves a buffalo earlier on today, and so are getting themselves a nice little treat. And so they are what we call carnivores, which are animals that will only eat meat for their diet, which is why they need to eat this poor hippo. But on the complete other side of the scale, there's also herbivores, and I actually have a nice little surprise to show you right now. I'm just going to reverse a tiny bit, so bear with me while I do, because I have one of, well, the biggest herbivore in the world, the heaviest mammal in the world. Can anyone guess what it is before we show you? What do you think the biggest mammal in the world is? The heaviest, sorry. The heaviest mammal in the world. I hope that you all guessed correctly. It is the elephant. So we can see that this is a very large elephant, one of the biggest ones I've ever seen out here. If it shows its head, it's got the biggest tusks I think I've seen on an elephant. So it's a very, very large boy. And so we mostly see boy elephants on their own, because they will leave their herd, whereas the girls tend to stay together within the herd. Camaria and Jason, well, elephants eat a whole type of different plants. So they are what we call both browsers and grazers. So browsers will eat things out of trees like leaves and fruits, just like the elephant, and grazers will also eat grass off the ground, which elephants will also do. But they will also eat bark off a tree, and you will often see them actually pushing down trees so they can get what they want to eat off it. But here in the Mara, there's a lot of grass, so just like this one here, we see them eating a lot of grass. Just gonna move up a little more. All right, well, I'm going to stay here with these lions and these elephants, but in the meantime, I'm going to send you down to Tristan in Juma.
Indeed, you are with us down here in a different part of Africa. So, well, Pat is up in Kenya and the Masai Mara. We're down in South Africa. And as Pat mentioned, my name is Tristan. And on camera, I've got David. And we are busy trying to find you a leopard. Now, there's a very interesting sign that we've got here. So I'll excuse this pole. It's because it looks like it might rain. But you see here, there's a drag and then a whole kind of mark that goes through the grass this way. And now this is a telltale mark for a leopard that has managed to grab something to eat and drag it through the grass. So I suspect our leopard is somewhere here and he might have a kill. It's a big dominant male leopard. So we're going to try and see if we can find him and see what he's been dragging around and what he managed to actually bring down. He was seen this morning just resting. So I'll be very happy if he's managed to find himself a kill or make a kill and find himself a meal. Now, remember that we want to hear all the questions that you have, so remember to ask your teacher, and they'll send them through to us. Now, where has he gone? It's very difficult to track in this because the grass is very long, so I can't see his footprints. So I'm just checking all the big trees, anywhere where there's some grass that he might have just hidden it in, and that hopefully will lead us to where he is. But maybe somewhere here. Caleb, what is the most dangerous animal in Africa? I think it depends on what you're doing. So if you're in a vehicle like this, then a elephant will be very, very dangerous. You've got to be very careful of them. But if you're on foot, then I would say probably buffalo or hippos out of the water. Both of them can be very dangerous, and you have to be careful of both of those that you don't get yourself into trouble. So those are the two more dangerous ones that we have out here. Now, I wonder where this leopard's gone. His drag mark was in this direction, so he must be somewhere here. But there's very long grass and thick bush, so it's going to make it tricky to see him. We might have driven right past him, actually, so we'll just do a loop back just to double check. But I can't go any further forward because of this tree that's in my way. So we're going to just go back again and just double check. So the thing about a leopard is they're very difficult to find sometimes because they camouflage so well. Now, you might be wondering, what is camouflage? So camouflage is the ability for an animal's coat to blend in and to hide itself in its environment. So it will make it look very, very, very sort of well hidden. And you find that a lot of predators have camouflage because they need it to be able to hide away from prey, so that when they hunt, particularly something like a leopard, which is an ambush predator, which means it's a predator that lies in wait, needs to be able to hide away, and then that animal comes past and it can grab it. So that's why they need to have camouflage. Now, Heidi, which is the hardest animal to find in Africa? Depends. Actually, I mean, there's some animals that are very, very tricky, which are very small. So there's types of shrews and mice and those kind of things that are really tough to find. But in terms of the bigger animals that are well known, leopard is a hard one. We're lucky here in this part of South Africa that leopards for us are well seen. We see them quite regularly. And then probably the other sort of... You got it. There we go. So we managed to find him, which is good news. Apparently he's behind us a little bit, which is good. So well done. You got him, David. Is the bar out the way? Yes. So inside that bush, you can see how difficult it is to spot a leopard. There he is. You see him? So he's lying in there and is hiding away as well as you could ever imagine. It's really difficult to see him because he's behind all of those long grasses, and you can see those spots help to blend in, and it makes it hard for us to actually see him, or for anybody really to see him. And it just goes to show how you've got to kind of go slowly, and you've got to look very carefully when you are trying to find a big cat like a leopard. But look at that. Very cool. Right, we're going to try and see if we can position ourselves a little bit better, see if we can maybe get a slightly better view. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to my friend Rusty, who's out, and I wonder what he's going to be looking for this afternoon.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Rusty, and behind the camera is Craig. He has got full control of the camera, so hopefully we'll find something to show you soon. I am in search of giraffe and buffalo, which is going to be quite interesting to find. Now, giraffe in this kind of bush is quite hard to see. They are very tall animals, but they've got this amazing pattern that makes them very difficult to see. So sometimes you'll just see their heads pop up from behind the bushes. So we might have some luck. Then it's also after buffalo. Now, buffalo are normally in big herds, but because there's so much grass and so much water everywhere, we have to travel big areas to go find them. But we might not have, we'll see if we have any luck. The best place to come looking for most of these animals is where there is water. And we've come to a dam that's not too far. Joshua, very good question. How tall a giraffe? How tall do you think giraffe are? Now, giraffe can go up to about 4.5 to 5 meters. And they're actually that's a male giraffe, get to about 4.5, 5 meters. You might have to get not too sure the conversion. But then the females are slightly smaller. And then the little ones, obviously, when they're born, they're about the size of probably you are right now. So as they grow older and bigger, it takes about 10 years for them to reach full height. It's a lot faster than us, but it's a very, very quick process for an animal that size. So yes, hopefully we'll find one. We'll see the difference between a male and female giraffe, and hopefully find a family with a few babies inside, because they're always very cute to watch. So that is our plan. So we came here to the water to see if there's anything moving around or coming down to drink, but it seems to be very quiet today. It is very windy and very cool. So I don't know if you've all been to the beach, and if you go walking on the beach where it's very windy, it's very hard to hear. It's the same here with the animals. So animals become very skittish, very scared when it's windy like this, because they cannot hear what's coming and what's moving around. So on a windy day like this, it's very hard to find some animals, but I think I might be able to find them today. Who knows? Okay, we'll go back to Tristan and see how he is doing with the leopard. Sorry, to Pat. Pat's got the lions.
Well, look who we have up the top here. We have a big male lion. So it's very easy to tell a male lion from a lioness, because the males have the manes. It does take a long time for these manes to grow though, so ones as little as the ones walking towards us now may not actually have a mane when they're young, so it can be a little bit difficult to tell between the two when they are younger. But once they get old, and like this one on our right, it's unmistakable. Harry, lions eat a whole different type of prey items. So today they obviously have found themselves a hippo, but they will also eat other big mammals like buffalo, and sometimes they will eat also smaller animals such as warthogs. So they will eat plenty of different types of animals. Most of them will, pretty much all of them will be herbivores. They tend not to eat other... Wow, what's going on here? Seems to be a little bit of a dispute here. So they will also eat giraffe. Oh. And hopefully here they don't eat one another. Oh. Can we hear that? Sounds like there is a little bit of a fight going on between them. This is a very big pride. So a pride is a group of lions. And this one is called the Olololo Pride, and it's a very big one. There's about 16 or 17 different lions here, as well as cubs too. They are jumping all over the place at the moment. We have two just coming up the hill here. Wow. That was a very loud dispute. Sometimes this will happen when there is food around. Lions will start to fight amongst one another over who gets the food and who gets the first bites of the food. It's all about how dominant or how powerful they are within the pride. Other animals that lions will eat are zebra and antelopes. Gavin, lions sleep in a whole heap of different places. They like to sleep when they can get into the shade. So we can see down on the bank here, where all of these lions are sitting right now, there is a nice bit of shade under that tree, and that is where we will generally see lions resting. So it'll sometimes be in grass, it will sometimes be on a log or on a stone, or a lot of the time we'll see them sleeping on a termite mound. So they can sleep in a whole heap of different places, but they definitely don't have a bed like us. And they won't tend to sleep in the same spot all the time as well. Can you hear that? Those loud roars. Wow. Very exciting to spend some time with lions. We've got one down here. It's doing a bit of contact calling. It must be looking for its cubs. So, whoops, sorry for my head there. Sorry for my head. Whoop. What's that? Is that a Oh, it's another lion. I thought that might be a hyena. Hyenas and lions are natural enemies, and they will both often try and steal food off one another. So if there's a hyena lurking about, then a lion isn't going to be very happy, but that one just looked to be another lion. So there must be a few grumpy ones in the pride today. Hearing a lot of roaring. Just staying quiet so we can all listen to this. It's very cool to hear. They have very loud voices and can carry for a long, long way. Sometimes when we're sleeping all the way up on the escarpment or the mountain at night, we can hear them from so far away. Well, I'm going to stay here and watch what these lions get up to. And in the meantime, let's go and see what Tristan has down in South Africa.
Well, we are with the leopard. We're just trying to get ourselves into a slightly better position. I'm just going to try and see if Dave can get here with the bars that we've got. So there we go. That's a bit better. We can at least see Tingana a lot nicer. Now, his name is Tingana. He's the dominant big male leopard that we have in this area. He's come out of that thicket a little bit for us, which is nice. And I think he's come out because he's spotting something. You can see how he's sitting when he has that kind of demeanor where he's got his head like this and he's looking forward. It's generally when he's spotted something. So even though he's got an item of food, he might have something kind of up on the top there that he's managed to see. I did see some wildebeest when we first came, so maybe that's what he's gone to go look for. Hello, boy. Now, we know that he's got a kill. We're just not 100% sure what it is just yet. We'll have a closer look just now. But anyway, it sounds like the lions in the Mara are busy, so let's send you up there.
Well, we just came back because this male stood up and started roaring very loudly. I'm just going to hope that he starts up again. I could feel it in my chest, it was so loud. I'll just hope that he starts back up. Here we go, we might go again. No, he's just opening his mouth. Wow. That's what the male lions will do to show that they are the boss. So once it got up and started roaring, all of the other lions that were scared of the roar ended up leaving. And so now there's just a few left. After there was so many, I think what may have happened is another pride may have come along and tried to get a little bit of their food, this food for themselves, and have been chased away. So they all started running off over in that direction, and I can't see them anymore, but that was very exciting stuff. Oh, I can hear them. Oh no, that was the elephant. So that was the elephant from before. Wow, and we've got another male lion moving in up the top as well. Wow, listen to that. So male lions have to be very tough out here. A lot of the time they'll either be on their own or what is called a coalition, which is when male lions will form a brotherhood almost, or a team, and they will do everything together to make life just a little bit easier. Emmett, yes, it is safe to go on safari. We're a good distance from these animals right now, and even though they might be a little bit stirred up and a little bit grumpy, it's not towards us, and we have to learn how to read their behaviour. And so if it was towards us, we would know, but safaris are definitely safe, especially when we're in the vehicle. As long as we don't get out of the vehicle and we know that the animal is being okay around us, then everything is fine. So people don't really ever get hurt coming out on safaris. Here comes that big male in from the right again. He looks like he's a little bit injured. Oops. Just listen to this. Wow. That was... Wow. How cool was that, everyone? So that's what I was trying to show you just before. That loud, powerful roar. Mackenzie, no, female lions and male lions will generally eat the same diet, but it will actually be the females that will do the hunting a lot of the time. This one, finding a nice scratching spot there. It will be the females that do the hunting a lot of the time, and because the males are so big and strong, they can come in afterwards, and even if the females don't want them to eat, they can show how powerful and strong they are and get a little bit for themselves as well, sometimes a lot for themselves. So male lions will hunt, but it will be the females more, but all in all, they do tend to eat the same types of food. Still being very noisy, these lions. There's another male I can just see coming in from the right. But he's just, there we go, we can see him under that tree there. Now I think this is one of the Kichwa males. So I was talking about coalitions before, and I think that this one might be in a coalition of two. So these two lions. I'll have to have a better look at them to fully confirm that, but that is my suspicions at the moment. As I did say, males will quite often stay away from other prides and go off on their own. Vera, well, the lion's mane is something that we only see in males, and that's why it has all of those that hair around its head, and it shows that it is a big animal, and it actually makes the animal itself look bigger. So generally, if it has a bigger mane and a darker mane, it will be a bigger, stronger male, or at least a more dominant male. As it disappears around the corner there. So we as humans obviously don't grow manes, but these guys definitely do, and it's a nice sign to know if you see a male lion with a big mane, that it's a healthy lion, and it is a lion that is doing it well for itself. It's just all the young ones right now that are eating the food down there. And all of the other ones have gone away into the bushes. So I'm just looking to see if I can find the other ones around here. I think all of the fighting might have cleared most of them out. All of the defending of that food. I can't even see that elephant anymore. So everything's been scared off by that loud display there. Now it's all the young males that are left to eat. Oh, we got one more just up on the bank here. Just the one that's not on the food. Well, I'm going to stay here. We can see that this one still has a little bit of spots on its belly. Young cats do that, but another cat that, well, young lions do that, but another cat with spots for its whole life is a leopard. And Tristan has one in South Africa.
You're being very spoiled today, considering you've got to see lions roaring and fighting over a kill and the elusive leopard. You've been very fortunate on your afternoon safari so far. But you can see with our male leopard, he doesn't have to worry nearly as much as the lions do because he doesn't have any competition really. He can sit and eat in peace, and it's why he's pulled his kill under the tree. Now you can see where he's sitting. Just to the right of him is a dead animal. So we think it's what's called a kudu, which is our largest type of antelope that we see in this particular part of the Kruger National Park. And so he's managed to find, and it's a good meal for a leopard. It looks like a sort of a younger individual, which should feed him for the next kind of 2-3 days if he can get it up into a tree. Now, earlier I was saying he doesn't have competition from other leopards really, but he will get competition from other animals. So things like hyenas and lions will be something that he has to watch out for. But the advantage that he's got, unlike the lions, he can take his kill up into a tree. Leopards are really good climbers. And so what they do is that generally when they first make a kill, is they drag it somewhere like this if it's during the day, and they put it under a tree. Now, when they put it under a tree, they know that they don't actually have to worry too much, because things like vultures will not be able to spot that kill. And if vultures don't come and land, then it's not going to attract the attention of some of the other predators that might be around. The problem is at night is things like lions and hyenas, well, they are going to go on territorial patrols. So what that means is they're going to go around and try and mark their territory to tell others that they're there. And in the same process, they also look out for food. And both of them have incredibly good sense of smells. And so they'll smell where this animal was killed, and then they'll follow the scent to where he is. So you'll find that at night, or hopefully later this afternoon, once he's had a little bit to eat, he's going to pick it up, and then he's going to go to the nearest big tree and try and put it in there and make sure that he can kind of get it right up in the high branches and out of the way of other predators. Craig, what is a leopard's biggest predator? So it depends on how old the leopards are. When they're little cubs, their biggest predator is other leopards, funnily enough. So they have to be very, very, very careful of other leopards. So as cubs, male leopards kill more cubs than any of the other predators that we get out here. So that's the one thing. When they get a little bit older and they're like this leopard, a big male leopard, or even an adult female, well, then they have to worry more about lions than anything else. Lions are big and strong and much larger than what a leopard is, and they'll be able to catch them sometimes and kill them. So those are the kind of number one threats. Hyenas are also obviously dangerous to smaller leopards, but generally as a leopard gets past sort of 3 months, it's able to start climbing. And once it can climb, the risk of being killed by hyenas is far less than when they're younger than that. So their biggest predator really is lions naturally, but really the biggest predator is us as humans. So there's a lot of people that unfortunately hunt and kill leopards, which is very, very sad. And so we probably as humans are their biggest threat or their biggest predator in life. Luckily in this particular part of the world, and why we get to see the leopard so close, and you can see he's got his back to us, he's not worried about us, is because we don't hunt any of them here, we don't steal any food from them, and we don't chase them, and so they've learnt that we're not something that they need to be scared of. Now, David, can you see there's some antelope walking right up in the distance there? I don't know if you can see them. So that's what he's watching. That's why he's facing away from us. Earlier I was saying it looks like he's watching something. So there's some impalas, which is our most common antelope and very similar size to a deer, that are walking around there. So he's just watching them from here. And even though he's got a meal, a leopard can't help itself. It's got an instinct, and when it sees an opportunity to potentially hunt, sometimes they'll even kill another animal when they've got one. So they are very, very what we call opportunistic, which means that they'll take any chance that they get in order to find food, because they don't know when the next meal is going to be. So sometimes you will find them with 2 or 3 kills. It's not very common, but it can happen. But the nice thing is for this aging male, because he's getting old now, is Tingana, he's on the older side of life, is that this is going to be a really good meal for him. So, Rihanna, what do leopards eat? Well, we just showed you what leopards eat. They eat antelopes, mostly small to medium-sized antelope, hoofed animals, essentially. So things like a deer. Impala in this particular part of the world is their favorite meal. This is what they'll go after the most. In the Masai Mara where Pat is, the leopards there tend to target a lot of the time Thompson's gazelle, which is a slightly smaller antelope than the impalas. Every now and then they'll take impalas too, but mostly Thompson's gazelle up there. And then it just depends where they are. They can hunt pretty much anything. A leopard is a very, very unique animal. It's not like lions that require big meals all the time. A leopard, you'll find, will go after small things like lizards and mice and birds and sometimes even insects, all the way up to catching big animals like baby elephants or young giraffe, or even something like this kudu, which is, while it's still a young animal, it's still a huge meal for a leopard. I mean, like I said, it'll take him probably 3 days, 2 to 3 days to finish that meal, depending on how hungry he was when he first managed to kill it. So they have a very wide array of animals that they can hunt. Now, I was saying that they do hunt birds, but luckily Rusty is with a bird that is nowhere near us, and so it should be safe and sound.
Leopards, and lions, you're very lucky today. But I think I'm even luckier. This is one of the most beautiful birds we have. It is a mixture of a lot of different colors. It's called a lilac-breasted roller. Now, the roller gets its name from the display it does to attract a female. It goes up into the sky and does this, it's a very loud sound, and then tumbles down, like it puts its wings out straight, and then does a complete circus behavior in the sky, making this loud sound to attract a female. So that's where it gets its name from, the lilac-breasted roller. Now, the colors on the chest is the lilac color. It's just a more fancy way of saying purple. But it's a beautiful, beautiful bird. When the sun shines on it, it glows with the colors. His mate is not too far away. It does have a partner, and they hold a very, very small territory in this area. And they look after it for the whole year round, and then they feed off all the insects that they find. So they go to a branch just sticking off the tree there. Oh, there he goes, and he flies off. He's just going to another branch not too far away, and I think our tree thing. But yes, birds we always don't have a lot of patience for birds, because they do, as soon as we get the camera on, they fly away. But we do have another place we want to go. We are going to go look for the 2 hippos. Yeah, we are going to go look for hippos that were seen this morning. Okay, while we do that, we are going to go back over to Pat and the lions.
Well, we are back here with the lions, and things seem to have settled down a little bit. We can see this male still hanging about. We're not doing any more roaring, and there's no fights happening anymore. So everything has calmed down a little bit. But this is what males will do. So I did say that they have to go out by themselves, and they have to sometimes take over a pride as well. So every now and again they'll try and really force their way into a pride in order sometimes to find a girlfriend or a mate. But now, all he's interested in is yawning. He must be tired after all of that roaring, all of that fighting. I think they all are getting a bit tired now. There's still plenty of sub-adults around, and I was talking about the mane earlier. If we look at this one just walking down to the bank now, we can see that just around his neck is just the tiniest scruff of fur, and that is the start of a mane. So that's a telltale sign that he's going to grow up to be a boy. And this pride has a lot of young boys amongst it. Why that is, I'm not sure now. I do apologise. You're going to hear a little bit of vehicle noise at the moment. There's just a few other cars here enjoying this sighting with us, and they have to drive, and so we have to hear the engine every now and again. Jaden, it is approximately 5 o'clock PM over here, so I'm not too sure what time it is over there, but it is the afternoon right now, which is when we will see lions become most active. They'll tend to sleep a lot in the shade. As I said, they do love to sleep in the shade during the day, and generally towards the early morning, night time and evening is when that's a bit cooler, and so they can walk around a bit more freely without getting too hot with all that fur. Aren't lions cool though? Ariana, well, lions can sleep a lot. Some male lions will be sleeping and resting for up to 20 hours a day. So that's only 4 hours a day when they're doing that. Obviously, this isn't the case with all lions though, and some will sleep up to 10 hours, some will sleep 15 hours. So it really just depends, but generally they will sleep a lot in the day unless they have a lot of moving around to do. And this can also increase or decrease with things like availability of food, whether they're sick or injured, whether they have cubs with them, whether they have a pride with them or not, how hot it is. So it can really vary quite a bit, but it is still many, many hours of the day. One hiding away there. They're all doing that. That's another thing that lions like to do, is lie in long grass or areas that they can be hidden in. And this is a good way to A, not let prey know that they're about, and B, just stay hidden from other things as well. Because as we saw before, that elephant came through, it was a little bit suspicious of them, but didn't really do much. But if they do catch on to lions, they will sometimes attack them. Because they, as I said, are natural enemies, just like the lions and the hyenas. Some animals are just more wary and more scared of some animals than others. So this one is a little one. This is what we call a sub-adult. So this is when they're kind of just starting to pass that cub stage, but still haven't grown up to be a big lion just yet. So probably just like all of you watching along, about your age in lion times. Cameron, well, these are one of my favourite animals to see on safari. I love lions, Cameron, but I also love to see baby animals of any sort. I love seeing baby lions, I love seeing baby elephants, and I also love seeing baby baboons that just look like little kids running about. It's very cute, so I like to see the baby animals out here, but my two favourite are the lions and the elephants. But we get so many different types of animals out here. Just as well as lions, we get other cats like cheetahs and leopards. And we even get some of the smaller cats, like a serval, which some of you might know what that is, but it looks almost like a cat that you'll have in your house. Speaking of all of the different types of cats, there is the leopard that I mentioned, and I'm sure you've all got to see and know today. Let's have a bit more of a look at it.
Indeed, Pat, it's hard not to love leopards. They're my favorite animal by a long way, so I try and spend as much time as I can with them. And so it's always a good day when we manage to find those little spots hidden amongst the bush. And you can see really why it's so difficult to spot a leopard in the wild. Like I say, we're very lucky that these leopards here are relaxed. But, you know, if you were just driving along and you weren't really paying attention, I mean, we are probably from this leopard maybe 6 to 8 feet away, and we can hardly see him. So you can imagine if you're driving along and this leopard was 20 feet, 30 feet into the bush, it would be almost impossible to be able to see them. So it's an incredible way that they blend in. You wouldn't think that those big spots would make them hide away, but basically what's happening is those spots, dark and light coloration, is basically matching the areas that leopards like to move around, which is essentially in dappled light, so where there's trees and the light can kind of shine through the trees, and they can kind of be in places where there's a little bit of light, a little bit of shade, and their coat really matches that, and they can then blend in so well, and that's why they can be hidden in plain sight. So a lot of places have a lot of leopard, but you just don't see them because they kind of see you first, and either they hide like this or they move off long before you get there. And because of how they kind of blend in, you actually can't see them once they're 20, 30, 40 sort of feet away from you in the bush. So, guys, leopards do have, well, I mean, we say names, but they ID features, so identifying names that we use just so we can follow who is who and work out kind of whether they have cubs or, you know, if they're the dominant male, and just to be able to understand which leopards we have in the area. And so, yes, they're given this identifying name. Most of the leopards in this particular part of the Sabi Sands, which is the reserve that we're in, their names are based on how they are as an animal. So Tingana, which is this male leopard that we see here, his name means shy, and that's because when he first came into this area, because males will move out of where they were born and often move to an area kind of adjacent or close to, and when he came here, he had obviously come out of an area where there was very few cars, and he was very shy. He used to run away from us. You couldn't get anywhere near him. You couldn't get within 100 feet and he would run, whereas now you can see he lies right next to us and has even got his back to us. So he was called Tingana based on that. Other parts of the reserve will name a leopard based on area. So there will be a leopard, let's say, I'm trying to think, there's an area in the central part of the Sabi Sands called Ravens Court, and there was a female that was named, and a male that was named after that, so they called the Ravens Court male. And so it just depends. Some places have different ways, but that's how they get given these identifying kind of names, and it's just so that we can track and follow where they move around, what they do, who is who. If let's say we have a young male leopard that's born here, if he moves somewhere else, then they can find out who he is, what his history is, how long he's been alive for. So it's just an interesting way of being able to study the animals, and all of these leopards that are here are part of a study that is done by an organization called Panthera, and they try and work out how dense the population of leopards is, what the genetic kind of codes are and lineages are, so who's the males, who's the females that have certain cubs, and how the kind of density here is different to other areas. So it's important to be able to identify each individual, because that helps those guys that are researching the leopard to be able to understand a lot more about leopards and basically rewrite what we know about them. A lot of what was written about leopards early on is been proven to be not correct, and as times change and animals inhabit different areas and the areas change, so we see that leopards are very adaptable, and that means that they're able to change how they behave in order to survive in certain areas. And so you find leopard in mountains, you'll find them in bushy savannas like what we're in now, a mixed wooded savanna, you'll find them in deserts, you'll find them in grasslands, even in places where there could potentially be snow. So, you know, they do move around quite a bit, and are able to survive pretty much anywhere, which is pretty amazing. And it's why I really like them, is just because of their ability to kind of survive, hide in plain sight, and then also that they have the most beautiful coats, and there's something about seeing a wild leopard that you'll never ever forget if you get the privilege to see one. So hopefully one day all of you will be able to come down to Africa at some point, or even India, because they have leopards there too, to be able to see them. So Hannah, how do you tell leopards apart? Well, quite simple, Hannah, is you use a spot pattern. So I'm going to show you now. Just give me 2 seconds. I just need to be able to pull up a photo for you to be able to show you what I mean. So, all right, here we go. So essentially, when we look at a leopard, this is a face of a young male leopard that we used to see in this area. We haven't been seeing him too much of late. But if you see here on his whisker spots, you see there's the whiskers that are coming out. Now there's little spots above those whiskers. So I'm going to just double tap to show you. So those spots, 1, 2, and 3, those are spots that we use to be able to identify them. So we'll call this leopard, he would be 3 spots on his left side of his face, and then you see 3 spots on the right side of his face. So we would say he's got a 3-3 spot pattern, and the way that those spots are is completely unique to him. There would be no other leopard that has the same spots. These spots here around his nose will also be very different to any other leopard. And then the other area that we use in terms of spots are these ones above his eyes. So anywhere, these kind of bars that you see over his eyes, these spots around the forehead, those are all going to be different. Now, obviously, as leopards survive and as they move, the noses will change. So this leopard, you can see, he's got a kind of pinkish colored nose that can sometimes darken a little bit, and then also their ears will change, and they will start to kind of get ears that get little notches in them. So sometimes as they get a little bit older, you can see maybe a notch that looks like a V, or a notch that's like a little circle that gets taken out of their ears. Ticks bite them, or as they fight with others, and those can all be used in order to identify them. So the spots is how we mostly use, but then also general appearance, so ears, nose coloration, combined with eye color and spots, will be able to give you 100% ID as to who you're looking at. So that's how you basically identify them. But if you're lucky and you're like us, who lives out here and we get to see them every single day, you start to recognize them without having to look at spots. And that's just because it's like you, if any of you have pets at home, you know what your dog looks like or your cat looks like because you see it every day. You don't have to go and count its spots or its eye color or anything like that. You know straight away, oh, that's my dog. And it's the same with these guys. Because we see them so regularly, you get to recognize them even from afar. You can see a sort of general sort of look of them, and you know, okay, that's that animal. So it takes a bit of time to kind of figure it out. Right. Unfortunately, our leopard is hiding a little bit, and so that signifies the end of our school safari. I hope that you had the most wonderful time with all of us, and I hope that you have a wonderful day further and you don't get too much homework, and that you enjoy your next class that you go to. From all of us, it's been a wonderful pleasure, and we hopefully will see you all soon. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So for those of you that have just joined us or have been with us and we haven't acknowledged you just yet, it is a very, very, very good afternoon to everybody. Remember that my name is Tristan. On camera I've got David, and we are coming to you live from South Africa and Kenya with Pat and Rusty out in the field, and that we want to hear from all of you. So remember, #SafariLive on Twitter or @FC on the YouTube chat should you want to ask any questions or have any comments. And remember, you can send those through basically related to what we're seeing on the screen, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. But I'm super excited that Tingana managed to make a kill. I know, unfortunately, the dam cam was down during the course of the day, but he managed to kill it and drag it down off the dam wall by the looks of things into this area. So super happy that he's got himself a meal. Good. I'm going to be swapping out the hot seat. We're going to have somebody new coming in. And before I do that, though, let's send you quickly up to Pat and those lions.
Well, this is very sad stuff. Welcome everyone to this drive. My name's Patrick. We have Bongay on camera. We are in the Masai Mara of Kenya. And please, comments and questions, use the #SafariLive. But this is, we talk about infanticide in lions a lot. This is the first time I've ever seen it. So obviously we had the kids drive, so we couldn't tell what was going on. And, well, there we have it. So these male lions have moved in. Infanticide, I'm sorry, this is just very, very hard to see right now. It is nature, though. Infanticide is when the male lions will essentially kill the cubs of the females, and so they can spread their genes. It will bring the female back into estrus for, sorry, I'm just going to roll back so I can get back up this hill, for 2 weeks. I mean, it can take 2 weeks. Sorry, this is very, very hard to be around right now. 2 weeks. It will bring them back into estrus, although it would take 2 years if the cubs were still around. So it's essentially just a quick way for the males to pass on their genetics. But to actually witness it firsthand is really sad stuff. Kind of at a bit of a loss for words here. Sorry, it was a truly insane experience, seeing all of the fighting and hearing just the sounds, the loud guttural roars. But to have seen the end result is very sad, and we can see the mother now moving over to mourn her young. Hillary, so it looks like there was 2, but I've heard that there's 3 confirmed dead. But I can see 2 with my own eyes right now. That mother there going over to mourn the... This is one of the, hands down, the hardest thing I've ever had to see out here. I've had some incredible sightings over these last couple of weeks, but this is really something else. I mean, it is nature in its rawest form, but this just shows that it does have a dark side. It has a very, very bright side, but that poor mother, you can hear her making quite a bit of noise. I'm just going to stay quiet and we can all just hear the aftermath of this. Okay. Okay. So I'm just getting word about what the full picture is here, and it is the marsh pride that has come in and killed the cubs of the Olololo pride. So it was a clash between the marsh pride and the Olololo pride that has occurred here. And wow, I came down here to check out a hippo kill, which I haven't even mentioned yet. Sorry, everybody. So we do have a hippo that has died from some other reason other than lions. I'm not sure of the exact reason, but it wasn't taken down by the lions. And I have heard that the Olololo pride, and just assumed from all these young males that it was the Olololo pride. But yeah, I've heard that now it was a clash between the marsh and the Olololo pride. Wow. Ramona, if the females fight back, can they injure the males? I believe that was the question. But yes, the females will aggressively defend their cubs. That's why we had such a big ruckus. Oh, did the females? Well, no. The females put up a fight where there was a lot going on during that kids' drive. Obviously, I couldn't allude to exact reasonings of what was happening, but yeah, so the females did put a fight back, and we can even see, just if we look down at this female on the bank here, we can see her hip has been pretty scratched up there. Just moving it now, poor thing. So they have sustained some injuries, but all seem to be alive and well. I can't say so much for the cubs. It's the most documented species of infanticide lions, and I mean, I'm going to have to face up to it one day and see it, spending so much time with it, but it is just super confronting. Super confronting. And if there are any sensitive viewers watching along, I do understand if you're looking away from your screens right now or not tuning in, because yeah, this is a touchy topic. So that's just between the young'uns in the carcass there. They've been on that thing the whole time, pretty much oblivious to what else was going on around them, just wanting to feed. They've been, I suppose, training up their jaws on this thick hippo skin. Okay, so the mother now still looking over and probably grieving that. Yeah, oh no. Hard to watch. So it just goes to show that animals like us do, you know, feel these bonds and feel loss. Sorry. I'm sorry, I can't even put into words what I'm feeling right now, watching this unfold. Well, I'm gonna link away now, stay here with this hippo situation here, and let's go back down to Juma, see what James is doing. Fuck, that sucks.
Well, good afternoon, folks. Sorry, some sad news up north in the Mara. Hope the rest survive, and yeah, sad stuff. But what we have down here is a male leopard. got a male leopard called Tingana. I've just taken over from Tristan, so we're going to go try and get back in there and see if we can get any visual of him. We're suspecting that he might move a little bit later and possibly move his kill up towards a tree. So let's go in and see if we can get a better view of him. Darby, how's that?
Yeah,
good. Well, we have a few spots, folks, and you can just see he apparently killed a young kudu before lunch and has dragged it down into this area. And you can see that he's panting quite a bit. He's obviously fed a little bit on this carcass, and they do pant a lot when their bellies are full. And I don't think he's going to move too much in the next short while. You can see how well camouflaged he is in there. This light is fading quite quickly. We've got full cloud cover now, and it's a whole lot better than yesterday. Probably half the temperature of yesterday. Having a good snooze. Sadly, we can't see his head from this position. We might move around just now, because if he is to move, he might move towards us and towards this tree on our eastern side. There's a beautiful thorn tree. Kosida, how long do leopards go without drinking? That depends very much on where these leopards are. In this area, leopards will drink daily, even twice a day, because there is water available. You get leopards in semi-desert regions, and they will drink once, twice a week, if possible. And some leopards won't drink at all, or will only drink when water is available. And they get a lot of their moisture from meat. So these leopards are pretty lucky. There's water available most of the time, especially in summer during the rains. And those that are near rivers will drink daily. So yeah, they can go long periods if they have to, but these ones are more fortunate. I think we're going to move back slightly and just see if he doesn't So yes, folks, we're going to give this leopard a little break and move slightly back and see if he moves towards this tree, and we'll get a shot of the tree from further back. Thank you.
Well, there just seems to be a lot of drama happening in the Mara. I hope Pat is handling that well. I'm sure he is. It is a natural process that happens, but it's not nice to witness. So we moved here to our resident watering hole, where we have the two hippos that are deciding whether to show themselves or not. It is a very chilly afternoon here, and they are not in any way inclined to get out the water or even show themselves that much. We do have the head, I'm guessing, of Scuba Steve and Snorkeling Sarah. Who's who right now, it's quite hard to see. We can see as a bit of the eyes and the nostrils and a bit of the ears. They seem to be taking in turns to look around. They are very relaxed, as they usually are. But I think as the afternoon draws to a close, I'm sure they'll make the move out, but I'm not too sure if we'll still be in the area. It does seem to have a little friend attached to his head, which comes in the form of a red-billed oxpecker. Now that is actually just helping with the parasites, but obviously if a parasite like a tick is attached to the ear, it becomes quite irritable, and his little island disappeared. So, generally doing what they do best. So yes, they are quite relaxed in there. I don't think we'll see much of them, but we will move off shortly and see if we can follow up on the princess that we all know as Talumba, as she made a kill here, not far from the dam, a few days ago. So we're hoping that she might be around. She was hassled by a few hyenas, which chased her up the tree, but I'm not too sure where they disappeared off to. Yeah. Okay, well, we go and investigate and see if we can pick up some tracks of Talumba or any other animals moving around at this time. We're going to head back over to the Mara and see what Pat's getting up to.
Well, the mood has settled down a bit here, and as sad as that was, we do need to accept that it is just nature's process, and it is something that happens out here. And I mean, it is sad to see, but it is something we need to accept. But anyway, to the story at hand now, everything is nice and relaxed here. We've still got the young feeding away down by the water on this hippo, and I've just been trying to rack my brain, trying to figure out what would have actually killed the hippo. Now, we did have a little bit of a storm move through last night, but it didn't really hit us where we were. But I wasn't down around this area, so I'm wondering whether it may have been a lightning strike. Obviously, I'm not going to try and get close to have a better look at this hippopotamus, but there's no real apparent injuries or any real sign as to what actually did kill it. Carol, not much of this hippo will go to waste in the end. So once the lions have had their fill, there will be another number of other animals that will come in. Although more so with the hippo than other animals, they have quite thick skin, which a lot of animals will probably not tend to take for themselves or be able to rip off. So it will take a little bit longer, and perhaps a little bit more of this hippo will be left behind. But nature has a pretty good way of cleaning up after itself. And so once even the animals have had their fill, there's also all of those little bacteria getting in there and breaking things down even further, until eventually it is just nutrients in soil or in dung, essentially. Yeah, we can do an unscheduled broadcast. Let's open this up to a wider audience right now. Okay, well, that's being set up. I believe there is some more questions. Lauren, well, it seems to be the marsh pride out of their territory. We are definitely... Ooh, these two are having a little scuffle here. There is definitely... Yeah, we're definitely closer to Uluru territory. The marsh pride tend to stay most of the time over the other side of the Mara River from where we are right now. So we won't often even see them coming this far in. I did see them or the breakaways. No one could really confirm. Pretty close to here the other day, but this is more Uluru territory. So, oh no. Oh, it looks like this female is eating. Ronit, no, the males who did this are right here next to us, actually. the two males that were involved in this incident, no, not incident or accident, this deliberate act. Yes, it was these two lions here. Although it's not like it was the choice of the lions, it is their natural instinct. Just have to clarify that as well. It's just what they are programmed to do when they come across cubs that are not their own. So, I mean, it's not like the lions chose to do this, it's just built in. It's in their genetics. It comes with being a male lion. What's this one got on its back here? That's another tail, I think. Oh, yes. It looked like it had a snake over its back, but it was just the tail of the other young male there. That poor lioness there. Wow, it was almost deafening, some of the sounds that were coming out of these lions during the big fight. It was... I don't even know how to describe it without sounding too colloquial, to be honest. It was pandemonium, an eruption, absolute chaos. I'm looking just a bit lost and confused now. Alright, we're just going to start this unscheduled now, so bear with me. A very, very warm welcome to this action broadcast, coming to you live from the Masai Mara Game Reserve here in Kenya. My name is Patrick, and joining me on camera today is Bongay. If you do want to interact with us throughout this broadcast, please do. Any questions or comments, use that hashtag SafariLive. But over to the action now. So, there has been a whole little story unfold out here, unfortunately that of a bit of sadness. So it started out that this hippo this morning was found dead of unknown causes, but it wasn't from the lions themselves. And it has attracted the attention of a couple of prides, the Olololo pride and the Marsh pride, as well as two older males that we can see just to the right here. Now, unfortunately, something that does happen in the lions is infanticide, which is, if you're a sensitive viewer, please look away or don't listen. But infanticide is when a male lion comes across cubs that are not his own, generally of another pride, and he will proceed to kill these cubs to force that female back into estrus. This will only take 2 or 3 weeks, as opposed to 2 years if the cubs were to survive. So this then allows the lion to then propagate his genes and have his cubs in the pride rather than that of another lion's. And so there has been 2 cubs unfortunately killed here during the last hour or so. There was a big fight, a big fight, and this is unfortunately the aftermath here. That is the other cub there in that grass there. So very sad stuff, but it is just the process of nature. It is the cycle of life, and it is what these lions are programmed to do. It's in their genetics, it's part of their instinct, and so it's just something that we have to accept. Cindy, I'm not sure what killed the hippo. Nobody seems to know. It's I was just trying to speculate myself. From looking at it, I mean, the lion... So there's a bit more of a... This may be between prides. I'm just going to stay quiet. Let's listen.
Move back a bit. Move back a bit. Move back. There.
Wow. So still a lot of tension in the air right now. So that was started by lioness, I'm assuming of opposing prides. And then, well, they all came in. Joseph, the prides that the cubs were from were the Olololo pride. So they have recently had a new litter, a couple of litters of cubs, and this was unfortunately their offspring. That won't ever make it to grow up and be a big lion or lioness. Things seem to have settled again. These two still... Wow, that was almost deafening. Sheena, it did look like the female was eating the cub, unfortunately. Although it could have been a little bit of grooming as well, or I don't know, a bit of a nudge. It is a bit hard to say what this lioness is doing at the moment. It's yeah, it's a very, very touchy situation. Looks like it might still have a bit of tension. Ruth is saying she can't watch it, it's too sad. Well, I fully understand, Ruth. I fully understand, but at least we can take comfort in knowing is that it is the natural way of things. And I've said this before, I would much rather see something sad happens that's happening naturally rather than something sad that is happening that doesn't need to. For, well, a lot of the things, these are human-induced moments, but yeah, at least this is the way of the lions. This is the way of their life, and it is, as we've said countless times, just nature. We can put it any way that we want to, but those few words say it just there. It's just nature. As sad as it is, oh, still playing with that cub. Obviously, probably a bit panicked and confused. Joseph, no, these weren't the same cubs David had the other day. Those cubs are from the Sausage Tree Pride, and last I saw them, they were alive and well and looking very healthy. They do have a male already with their pride, the El Doño Payak male, so that is offering them a bit of protection there, which is a good thing to have. So to have healthy cubs and a male in the pride, already established as, well, a temporary part of that pride at least, is a good thing. Oh, this male down here, he has cocked a bit of a shiner. Well, more than a shiner, his eye. It's been, well, it's just hiding it now, but big gash above his eye there. There'll be a lot of nicks and cuts all over these lions now. Obviously they only have their claws and their teeth to fight with, and well, they're killing weapons essentially. So they're fighting with their death tools. So male lions will often be seen with a number of scars, not just on their face, but all over their bodies. Male moving in now, taking this one for his own. Nina is asking if females always get involved in fights. A lot of the time you will see the females getting involved, especially when the cubs are at stake. That's when you will definitely see female lions really, really defend their own. But when it comes to pride versus pride, or even inter-pride, the females will still fight. But it's the lion that really, really does rely on winning these fights to better his life, or to sustain even his life. We can still hear this mother making a bit of noise there. I'll just see if we can pick it up, although it is a bit windy, so I apologise if we can't. Alright, so I'm just going to get a new position on all of this. Cara, they probably won't drag the hippo out of the water, or not unless it gets a little bit lighter. Sorry, I'm just reversing without turning on the engine here, just rolling back. So they probably won't, but as more scavengers start to come in and there is more fights around the carcass, you will notice that the animals will try and take a bit for themselves and move off. And so that's when the carcass, whatever it may be, does start to get moved around quite a bit. So just getting a good spot here. So that's when, yeah, so it may be moved out of the water, but right now it looks a bit too heavy and there's not really much competition going on around it. So it will probably stay where it is for a little bit longer. Well, things seem to have settled a little bit, at least down here, so we will close this action broadcast. If you do want to watch more, please use SafariLive on YouTube and watch along. We are broadcasting right now, so if you go to YouTube and type in SafariLive, you can just continue on from where we are leaving off right now. Thank you all for joining. Welcome back, everyone, to the regular broadcast. Wow, more violence, more action unfolding around this carcass. It's been one heck of an afternoon. Ups and downs and just sheer chaos, sheer excitement. Not excitement in the most clean-cut definition of the word, but you know what I mean. The heart rate was up, the adrenaline's pumping. Some of it was definitely not enjoyable to watch, but it was an experience. Let's just leave it at that. That was an experience. Wow. Oh, I hear the crunching of that bone. Now, I do apologise, Jimmy. When I was first told to link to you, I thought they were just saying an alternative name for James and thus called you James, but it is in fact Jimmy. So let's go see him and his baboons.
Folks, you can see we've still sitting in the area of this leopard. He hasn't moved at all, but there is a troop of baboon on the dam wall, and we feel he might not move in the next little bit because he doesn't want to give his position away to these baboons. These baboons are probably in the area because it's about the time of day where they start looking for their roost area, which is often in big trees in these drainage lines. They've probably just been for a drink and they're now going to head towards a roosting place. And it's unlikely this male leopard will move while these baboons are in this immediate vicinity. So we're just going to sit it out a bit and see what happens. And the baboons have not seen the leopard as yet, otherwise they would have alarmed and created some havoc. So he's sitting very tight in this bush still. We might move a little bit closer shortly to see if we can give you a slightly better view, but we don't want to give his position away to these baboons either. There you can see the baboons on the wall now, milling around. There's some big guys and there's youngsters playing around. They're starting to move down into the drainage. There's some big guys, yeah. They're all starting to head towards the thick area. I'm sure this leopard will be happy. There's a youngster on the mother's back. It's a nice image there. Yeah, a whole lot of youngsters having a ride. They'll often use the same roosts in specific areas, and often they use these massive jackalberries or big evergreen trees. We'll try and get you a pick of one up on the bank there, and they've got beautiful big branches and not too many thorns, so that's why they like them. There's one on the right-hand side of your screen, and there's many of these in these drainage lines, so there's good cover. There's cover from rain. Question from Paula. Paula, how long have I been guiding for? I've been guiding for probably 25, 30 years. So initially worked with the Vulture Study Group, which was linked to Endangered Wildlife Trust. Did a lot of work with kids and did a lot of work with vultures and some study on vultures. And we used to run what's called a vulture feeding station, where we used to feed vultures with carcasses that had been found or run over by vehicles. And then I was guiding at Mala Mala, did some mobile stuff into Zimbabwe, Botswana, quite a few years down in the Sabi Sands at Londolozi, and freelancing and a bit of training, and now I'm doing some work with SafariLive. So, very happy to be here. There's a nice view of the baboon. The youngster might be having a drink there. There you can see there's another baboon on the left of this female. He's grooming. Do baboons, sorry, I didn't hear who posed the question, but do baboons fight over territory? The males are definitely territorial around when females are in oestrus. The females are not really territorial, but they will certainly fend off predators and assist with fending off predators if they feel predators are too close to youngsters. And they've even been known to kill leopards on rare occasions. This leopard is still dead quiet in this bush in front of us. He's not going anywhere right now. And they still haven't sensed him. I'm surprised they haven't smelt him, because the wind is in their direction. Lily, do baboons have hierarchies? The females will have sorry, I've just lost my mic here. Females have a hierarchy. Dominant males will get to breed, and generally the most experienced, oldest females run the troops, but it's not as stringent a hierarchy as, for example, with hyena or with buffalo or elephant. So there is a form of hierarchy, but not as stringent as some of the other animals. There you can hear the baboon in the background there. They all move now into this thicket, so we might not get another view of them. Oh, there we are. There's a couple climbing up towards that. Looks like a tambuti there, a big tambuti or what?
Just over here.
Eh?
Just
Just over here.
See it if you zoom in there. Okay, folks, we're going to leave you for a bit with Pat, as we have lost visual of the baboons at this stage, and hopefully we'll get a few views of this leopard a bit later.
Remedy a little bit of the sadness that has descended upon this afternoon. We have a little bit of playtime now. So these two youngsters have come to this tree and have just been... Oh no, so perhaps hold off on the happiness there. So that was the cub that was unfortunately killed, and starting to, well, I've been hearing now that it wasn't actually the adult males that committed the infanticide, but it was some of the sub-adult males. So obviously there are a lot here between the two prides as well. There are a lot of sub-adult males, and I've heard now that it's actually them that did the killing of the cubs, not the two older males that we can see here. Well, still tension around, still the odd roar. Amanda, no. So once they start to get a little bit older and a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, they start to really lose that that vulnerability. So it's kind of the first 6 months to a year that they are super vulnerable of all of this. I remember reading it's a year, the first year of a male lion, sorry, when we're speaking male lion, the first year and the last few years that are the most dangerous. Oh, is it usual for the cubs to be eaten by the other lions? Sometimes this happens. So there has been, I've actually seen videos of it happening. It does occasionally occur. Sometimes it will not also occur, though. It's not something that's always happens. But yes, it has happened. I've seen it happen before, not in person, not like this, but I've seen videos. But I mean, this whole sighting has been an absolute roller coaster. I'm still just trying to wrap my head around everything. Not everything is clear cut right now, and as the night is progressing, it's just slowly becoming a little bit more clear, but just a lot of lions involved, a lot of little separate disputes. There was, it's been a whirlwind. Lindsay, we believe it... No, I was about to say it may have been the Kichwa males, but that was the Marsh Pride that they had cubs with. So I'm not actually too sure who fathered these cubs. I'm not sure who was mating with the Olololo Pride at the time. I wasn't actually in the Mara when the mating was occurring to bring these cubs up. So yeah, I'm not actually too sure on that one, sorry. Going back there. Fleming Grimace there. So I'm just confused about these actions right now. It's a bit difficult to really know exactly what is going through that lion's head right now, or what it's thinking, what it's feeling. But I mean, if there's anything to take from this, is that lions are resilient creatures and can bounce back. I mean, this is the main reason for these happenings. Chusik, I don't exactly know how big the Marsh Pride is. As I've said, we don't know a whole heap about the Marsh Pride. Well, not really us not knowing a whole heap. We just don't see the Marsh Pride very much. So it's not a pride I've spent a whole lot of time with. They, as I said, come from over the river, so we rarely do see them. I know that they were in other films and other documentaries, but as for my personal experience with them, I've only seen them once or twice, and even then it wasn't exactly confirmed whether it was them or not. So we just don't know enough about them. Just trying to see what's going on here. Oh, just sitting back there. I thought that was the front half. Well, this is actually quite a nice little spot now that it's all calmed down. It looks very peaceful. Another very peaceful spot down in Juma is the hyena den, and I know that Rusty has found some hyenas.
Well, that I wouldn't call it peaceful up there, but right here it is very peaceful. We have, I believe, I may be wrong, but I have got my money on it. I believe this might be June. If any of you viewers may help me out just to double confirm it, I would like to know, but I'm pretty sure this is June. Now, she is guarding her den. There was a face popping out the hole a few minutes ago when we arrived of one of the young ones. Now, it is quite cool outside, so I think they've just gone further back in to snuggle. So I don't know if we'll be able to see the cubs later, but we are going to hang around here for about the next half an hour, 45 minutes, and see what they do. Right, we did have a warthog come and appear for a few seconds and then realize it was just in the wrong spot and then trotted off. June paid no attention to it at all, just basically looked at it and go, yeah, my belly's full, I'm not going anywhere. The day's done. So yes, it's actually been a few days since I've last been here. And I was hoping for more activity around here, but I'm still happy to see her. She's doing very well. She's looking in a very good condition. She has got a bit of a belly on her. Acres, if I hear that right. That is a very fat hyena, yes. It has a bit of a belly, and every now and again she like rolls over, and yeah, it does look a bit uncomfortable. There is remnants of what we believe is part of an impala or impala skin on the ground. I don't know if Craig can. There we go. Now that was part of an animal that it might even be what Columba killed the other day. It might be what one of the hyenas dragged back to the den site. It was an impala Columba killed, so it actually might be part of it. I'm not sure. I do not have a DNA sample. Actually, I might do, because when we went to check the tree where the hyena, whether she had killed the impala, we accidentally drove over the dung of the leopard of Talamba, and fresh leopard dung smells horrendous, and I'm pretty sure I can still smell it attached to the wheel. So if actually you did want to do Lauren and Crystal, thank you very much for confirming that, and it does look like June, so I am happy to admit to myself, yes, I got that right. So yes, she is one of our resident females. She has, I believe, 2 cubs in the den as we speak, and I'm not too sure who else is in here. As far as I'm aware, there should be 6 cubs, or even 7 cubs if I remember right. But it's been a while since I've seen them, but Trishala and Jamie have seen them in the last few days and has been more interactive with them. It's been very quiet out here. It is very cold. It's cooled down a lot. I'm not complaining. I've been sweating the last few days. But it also was very windy earlier on, and making a lot of the animals skittish around here. Which I think, yeah, it's made it very difficult for us as well, driving around. We have to stop and listen to see if we can hear any movement or find any tracks of anything moving around. But we did not have any luck. There was quite a few birds around, but even there, a lot of the birds are... we passed a battler eagle that was perched in the tree, because they like clear sunny skies to catch the thermals. So even they are tucked up for the evening, and I don't think they're going to be moving about until tomorrow, until the cloud moves off. Oh, she is quite fast. She's actually nodding off. We're still hoping for the cubs to come out, but there is no sign of them yet. There was, like I said, a face earlier. I don't know which cub it belonged to. But I think it's just more curious to see us arrive. Okay. Well, while we watch June here, we're going to send you back over to Tamara and catch up on what Pat is doing.
Well, another fight has broken out here. This one aimed, it seems to be, towards one of the older males. As we are piecing this story together as well, things are definitely turning out to be not what they initially seemed at all. So, the Marsh Pride is 5 adult females and 8 sub-adults that are with them. And the cubs that were just killed were offspring of these 2 older males. And so it was the younger ones that committed infanticide on the older ones. So I had this completely backwards, but there we go. So there is 5 adults, 8 sub-adults in the Marsh Pride, which is the pride we have right here. And they were, in fact... Oh, yeah, okay, so this is the mother right here. Oh, okay. So, okay. Wow, okay, so that's just, wow, sorry, I'm a little bit in shock here. Just now that we know a little bit more about what's going on here, it really has turned out to be not what it seemed when we first arrived. I mean, everything that's happened in terms of killing was still the same, but they're completely different dynamic. Wow. Let's see, it's hard to keep up with such a large pride, especially when the Olololos did get involved earlier. And so there was a lot of lions, a lot of things happening. And so to start to really get a handle on things now is actually a bit of a relief, because I was really struggling to piece this one together. It's been quite an interesting afternoon. Oh, we've got one climbing a tree here. Let's see if we can get... Oh, no. Just hop down then. I was having a little tree climb, which, I mean, we don't always see lions do, but they definitely don't not do it. They do love to have a sneaky climb every now and again, sometimes even to avoid flies being bitten. Being up in the windier sections of a tree can sometimes help with that. Pauline, no, I don't think these younger adults are in danger, or the sub-adults, the younger males. They all seem to be, well, throughout the whole kind of ruckus, they haven't really moved off from the carcass or the shorelines. They've been in pretty safe quarters at the moment. They were pretty much the only ones. It was just amongst the adults and obviously the young cubs, unfortunately, that this was occurring with. But the hopeful news is that we did see 3 cubs earlier. I know Lauren was here earlier with these lions, and there was 3 cubs, and we've only confirmed that 2 are dead. So there may be 1 still around, or 1 that's managed to be stashed somewhere or escaped somewhere. So we can only hope that that is the case. For now, 2 definitely confirmed dead. This one right now is staring down at the mother. Jessica Moss, how old were the cubs that were killed? Well, I didn't get a good look at them, but just from judging from the body sizes that I've seen, I would say about 2 months, perhaps 2 to 3 months. They're not very old at all, quite young and obviously quite vulnerable. It's hard to imagine all of the carnage that just occurred when we look at this scene. Well, I suppose they are still eating a mammal there, but just peacefully relaxing beside the bank. That beautiful light. Just goes to show all chaos has its equal. There is peace amongst even the worst of things. I wonder if this was one of the sub-adults that committed that. There was so many male lions in the area at the time, it could have been so many. Another peep out of them now. All starting to quiet down here. Oh, the cub is being utilised by one of the other ones. I just saw a bit of a bite there. It's still not really, properly eating, and I'm still a bit confused as to what is happening in this situation. Looks like we have just about the whole pride here now. Let me just do a quick head check. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So yeah, I think we have almost the whole pride accounted for, which we can all see very clearly. But down in South Africa, there is a cat that is being a little bit more elusive.
Well, folks, we back. We've just tried to reposition and managed to find a few spots of this male sitting tight. We're going to try and get in closer, and there you can see a couple of spots and the heavy panting, and just to the top right you can see the pale skin and fur of the young kudu that he managed to kill just before lunch. There you can see a bit of his belly extending there. He hasn't moved his head, sadly, so we haven't been able to pick up his face yet. So we're just hoping that these baubles move off towards the big trees on Ramona, can he hoist a carcass with a full tummy? It depends on what he had managed to kill. In this instance, it is a young kudu, and he could certainly lift this animal into a tree. We're not sure whether he's taken the intestine out of the animal yet. That would lighten the load for him to be able to hoist it. But even so, at this size of animal, he would definitely be able to hoist it into the tree. And there's a tree we're going to try. Well, we're not in the right position to show you, but we'll show you shortly the tree that we predict that he'll move this carcass into a bit later. And I think once these baboons move off, he might move from his present position. He would then be more nervous of the hyena in the area than the baboons once they move off. There you can see the white fur of the young kudu. There we go. Very well hidden as well. And having only been killed by this leopard at lunchtime, it won't be giving off too much of a scent yet. So the hyena would have to be relatively close to be able to pick up any scent of this kill, or lions in that matter. Lions, obviously, if they picked it up, would also come in. Nancy, what do I like most about guiding? I think the nicest thing about guiding is being out here in the open, being able to share stories with people, living close to nature, respecting it, getting to understand animal behavior, and just appreciating every minute that we're out here. I wonder. Well, folks, we're going to leave you a little bit longer and head back to Rusty, who's got another spotted animal. So, yeah, let's leave you for a while.
Well, with Jimmy has about 25 years of experience under his belt, I would love to actually get him around a campfire and listen to the stories he has. If he has, yeah, with guiding that long, you get to do and experience a lot. So here we have, I believe, is Ribbon, and coming up the road right in front of us is June. June's been on the walkabout since we've arrived here. She was flat out, now she is on patrol just around the area, and her two little shadows are following her. Right now it's just one of her little cubs, but there was another one that disappeared back into the hole. I think it has been making quite an unusual sound, the cub, and I think she just really wants to eat the little one, he or she. I think it's actually just more hungry than anything else. It's been irritating Mum for the last 10 minutes. The sound effects have been quite special. I can just imagine my parents when we were crying, waiting for food and wanting to eat as much as we do. But yes, June is looking rather full and content with herself, so I think she will settle down now and feed them as soon as possible. And then Pretty here, I would like to also confirm if that is Pretty. I went through an ID kit, I'm pretty sure it is her, but I'd be happy to have any ideas from the viewers just to confirm if that is Pretty. She is also got a full belly, so I'm pretty sure that impala that was dragged back here was consumed sometime last night. Brent, you feel sleepy watching this hyena. I think I would like to go find a bowl of popcorn and climb into bed as well. They are June is not very relaxed. She seems quite uncomfortable with the belly she has. But I think she's going to go around the corner and feed her youngsters. But Pretty, on the other hand, is definitely not moving for nobody. She has actually twisted herself inside out in the last 10 minutes trying to find a comfortable spot. She's even dug up a little hole there to see if she can fit her belly in there, just to compensate for the roundness of it. And a big yawn. See how clean they're in immaculate condition. You can actually see that from the teeth and also how old they are. Normally as they get older, same with humans, their teeth wear down, but she has got very, very clean, white, and not cracked at all. They're not stained. And for the amount of chewing and how much breakdown of bone they do, they're actually in very good condition. I could just hear in the background the cubs going after June, trying to find some food, but they've disappeared to the other side of the mound, so we're going to stay with Pretty for a bit longer. Yeah, I think the ear marks are one way of identifying her. Flies, I've actually noticed on the last few times I've been here how the cubs are actually use it as a play toy, a plaything, the ears, and end up chewing and creating more marks. So I did get the question, but I didn't get the name. Do hyenas hunt? Yes, they do hunt. They hunt very well. In fact, they are renowned for being one of the biggest scavengers out there. But Faisal, yes, sorry. Faisal, do they hunt? The answer to that is yes. They do hunt and hunt very well. They hunt individually. They hunt in packs or in clans, if you want to call them that. And they also scavenge. They are pretty much an all-rounder when it comes to predators of the bush. But because there are so many leopards and hyenas within the area of their territory, they do a lot more scavenging than hunting. But on the off chance when obviously the predators don't, or the other cats, oh, here it comes. Juna's back, followed by her annoying little shadow. Yep, she's going to find a hole to rest her belly. There we go. So yes, they do hunt quite a lot. Whether that impala is of Talamba is a young female leopard we have in the area, and she killed an impala a few days ago, and she was actually chased up a tree by hyenas. I'm pretty sure it's the same clan members. And then I'm pretty sure they stole what was remaining of the kill and dragged it back here and consumed it here, hence the full bellies. But I could be completely wrong. It could be another impala. So yes, they are mostly scavengers. Okay, well, they are very rested, and I don't think they'll be moving anywhere, and neither are we. So, okay, we can link back to Mara and see what Pat's getting up to with the lions.
Well, we are still here with these lions feeding very, very noisily on this hippo right here. And, well, the whole pride's been getting involved. This poor male has been pushed out and is looking in a very bad way. We can't see right now, but he is limping, excuse me, very heavily on his left leg. See, looking at his face is very scratched up. We can see that injury to his eye there. Wow. Poor fella. It's been a big day for this guy. There's been a lot of roaring, a lot of fighting. I'm sure that they are all much needing the energy derived from this hippopotamus. But still, I've been asking around, still don't know the actual cause of death. But whatever it is, it was really cashed in on by these lions. Ravinda, well, I'm not sure the fight may have broken up essentially because of the carcass, but I think the distraction of food is definitely a good one. Although it seems like tensions are even starting to get a little bit heated around the carcass right now. There's a lot of snarling, a lot of grunting. As I said, that male was chased off. We can see there's a lot of mouths in there trying to feed right now. But yes, I do think the distraction of food would have been something that would have at least contributed to things settling down a bit. And it seems like everyone is back in their place now as well. Oh, still some needing to be put back in their place. But we're getting some very, very nice lighting right now, and I've been saying this is actually quite a pretty little spot. Lindsay, I'm not exactly sure why sub-adult males would kill other cubs. It may not have been as young as the ones we are seeing now. It may have been some older sub-adult males. As I said, there were a lot of lions running around. It was very hard to keep up with what was actually happening, who was coming from where. But I could only guess instinct. That's the only thing, perhaps a bit of misplaced instinct or something gone wrong. It's the only real reason I could think of, because it's not like they are going to need to take over a pride or anything. So, yeah, very strange, very confusing, but very... Again, I just can't find the right describing word for what has happened this afternoon. There's so many different ones that I could use, but no one that would solely describe it. Actually, let's throw this out to everybody else. Let's get a bit of a one-word tweet going here. If you could describe the happenings of this afternoon in one word, use the hashtag SafariLive to let us know your one-word tweet, because I would be very interested to hear after the events of today how everyone else is feeling, because I am rattled, to say the least. I'm not sure what I actually am feeling at the moment. Help me out, tell me how to feel. But watching this beautiful scene that we're seeing right now, that can only inspire good feelings. How beautiful is that sun dropping down, just reflecting nicely off the water there, giving the silhouette of what's happening with the lions. Just let us listen to this feeding frenzy while we wait for the one-word tweets to come through. Paula, intense. That actually is a great word, Paula. You have it done well with that one, intense. That's a good nondescript word. It kind of encompasses all that has happened without actually, putting that positive or negative on it. Intense. Chaos as well. From, I think that was Lars. I think I heard that name right. Chaos, yes, another very fitting word. Chaos. Chaos in the animal realm. Trouble in paradise. Meryl is saying insane. He's all on the money tonight. Oh, that's not good English. You are all on the money tonight. You, not yous are all. That's bogan Australian language. Oi, what are yous doing? Jerry is saying, wow. Oh, this one-word tweet was a good idea. It's helping me express myself through you guys expressing yourself. Patty's feeling a bit traumatised. That was her word. That's very fair. I can definitely sympathise with that. I'm sure there's a few lions out here that are also feeling a little bit traumatised after the afternoon events. Ramona, nature. That's a great one. Nature in all of its essence. The yin yang of nature, the good with the bad, the dark with the light. The beautiful with the ugly sights of seeing youngs dying. Steve, no, it's not often that family members will kill each other in lions. Not often at all. The pride tends to be pretty close-knit, especially the females, and then the males, once kicked out, will go off on their own. There may be... there's always a chance of death when there is fighting in lions, but generally there won't be too much inter-pride fighting, and if it is, it'll be around food like this, when you see them fighting over resources. And sometimes as well, if the pride does get too big, there will be a little bit of a breakaway and some of the other pride members may leave and form their own, which I've heard, I'm not 100% sure, this is just from what I have been told, that the Owino pride was once part of a sausage tree pride. Again, don't take my word for that, but that is just what we have been told from those there before us. Got one going to a tree again. This is the little scratching post of the community, this tree. It's had about 4 different lines come up, although this one has stopped. It's definitely getting a lot more peaceful out here as the sun is starting to descend, starting to look very beautiful. Let's check in down with Rusty and see how his hyenas are.
Well, June has taken up position and she is suckling both of her cubs. They have kept quiet for the last 5 minutes, so I think they've got their mouths full, which at least helps her to settle down. Pretty, on the other hand, I wish we could have shown you it. She battled to get up and walk away. She actually went down to the resident pool just behind the den site here. It's an old watering hole that's drying up very quickly, but she got up. I think she must have let off a bit of wind because we were slightly downwind of her, and she smelled very bad. But she's gone off with that much food in her stomach. She's gone off to cool down, which it means a lot since it's actually quite cool at the moment outside of the water. She is making her way back slowly. But yeah, these cubs are content, if that is a word we'd like to use for it. Here comes Pretty back. She is been belly deep in the water, cooling down. She's actually taking a long route around. She's also got 2 cubs here, I believe, and I'm not too sure. She might be going around. We will follow her around later and see if she'll feed her 2 little shadows. But June is quite content where she is, and we have an upside down cub suckling. Now, yeah, that's a very pretty sight of a young one. Very relaxed. They got to go. I believe they actually feed for quite a long time, almost a few hours at a time. So, oh no, sibling dispute. Oh, there. Family disputes. I think we were all the same as siblings growing up with one another. Who's going to have the most on the plate? Who's going to have the best or the leftover chicken carcass when it's done? But yeah, it's definitely feed time. I'm pretty sure, yeah, she was away most of the day, and I think it's at a certain time when that she allows him to drink. So it always seems to be around the same time. I'm not too sure how often they do feed the cubs, but judging from the size of their stomachs, they only returned sometime this afternoon from wherever they were wandering off to. And now it's feed time. Paula, I think that's as comfortable as they can get. It doesn't look comfortable at all, but that's for them. I think that's as comfortable as they can get. There is a bit of a dip where she is lying, so I think she is resting her stomach in there. But when you look at June here, she's got a very big stomach. But Pretty, on the other hand, that was quite embarrassing to watch. It was quite impressive, actually. But as we speak about that and the weather changing, we have a bit of drizzle picking up, which is not good for us because we've got a lot of electrical equipment that needs to be covered up soon. So we might... Yeah, the drizzle is getting a bit heavier and I do need to cover up the equipment. So let's get back to Jimmy and his leopard.
Folks, we've just moved again. Try to get a slightly lower position so we can see under some of this thick stuff. And you can see There his head is up now, and you can see his ears twitching. He's moved slightly out of that thick cover, and we're not too sure whether he might move shortly, either to drink or head back in for a food. So we're just going to sit tight a bit. You can see that camouflage now properly. He blends in. It's getting relatively dull now with this cloud cover, and there's a few spots of rain starting. Unbelievable camouflage, eh? Look at that, you can hardly see him. Davy, if you zoom out a bit more, can you? We're going to show you the tree that there, the tree in the background, straight above where he was. That's a great shape for him to climb up and hide his kill. Comment from Brent. Tingana, please wake up. Yes, I agree. But I'm not going to get any closer to ask him. He's looking around a bit more, so he might get slightly more active. With a bit of, yeah, he's definitely perking up a bit. I'm just going to sit tight a bit longer. Our patience might be rewarded. You can see, yeah, you can see his ears starting to move around. His senses are being awakened now as it gets darker. Start listening out for anything that poses a threat. And yeah, so I think we're definitely going to sit a little bit longer here. You can see the dam is literally over to the north of where he's facing. There's a dam wall, and over this dam wall, so it's literally 30 to 35 meters away. So if he does go, it could be quite a nice view. We're going to leave you for a short minute and then let you go back to Pat, and we're going to stand by here and sit with him.
So it's definitely a lot more mellow down here now. It's just the odd little tuffle between feeding lions, but apart from that, it's quite a nice night now. Everyone's still sending in plenty of one-word tweets. I think people are wanting to extend it out through 3 words, and look, after tonight you can extend it out to as many words as you want. I won't restrict you to just 1 word, because it was, well, a night of many words, wasn't it? And now, just back to the feast. The feast that we originally just came to see. We didn't expect any of this complete drama to happen. And, well, this hippo. I mean, I wonder if this hippo never died, would have any of this even happened today? I suppose not. The lions probably wouldn't have been attracted in, and there wouldn't have been that crossover of territory and all the aggression, and yeah. Interesting to think about. But it has. That's how things have gone. That is very pretty though. That water reflecting the sunset. It looks absolutely surreal. And a real contrast of beauty versus gore. The reflection of the water and then the now very mangled hippopotamus. You can almost see that full skull now. Teeth and all. Must have been a fairly young one, judging by the size of that head and of the skull there. Does look to be pretty small. Irish, I'm not actually sure whether the lionesses will know who exactly killed the cubs. As I said, as it was all happening, there was so much going on. There was literally lions flying everywhere. So it's anyone's guess as to who saw who did what. I just saw paws, I saw dust, I heard roaring. But the specifics of what exactly happened, I don't know, and I'm not sure whether the females are aware as to who was the culprit. And there was a bit of fighting afterwards as well. So, yeah, it is a really hard one to piece together, this one. The specifics, anyway, once we get into the nitty-gritty. At least now we know a little bit of background. One made very dirty work of himself today. This was one of the ones that was feeding throughout most of the time that everything else was going crazy. And so now just resting, cleaning himself up a little bit, cleaning all of that dirt. I think it's going to take quite a bit of time. I wonder if this one's going back up to the cub. Mean and Moo, how often do prides clash? Well, it's hard to put a proper number on this one, but it will tend to be more so in times of low resources. So in times of plenty, when there's a lot happening, for example, the migration here, when we get literally a million wildebeest and other zebras as well, and a whole range of animals actually come in, but it's mostly the wildebeest and the zebras. And so this is when you'll start to see territories start to dissolve a little bit and lions moving a bit more freely. But when there's a lot less resources, this obviously puts a lot more strain on opposing prides. And this is when fighting will start to break out, or in sometimes just by chance, where two prides come across the same food source and think, hey, I want that for myself. And there was a whole range of other things going on as well. So I'm seeing the cub's on the other side there. So I'm not sure what this lioness is doing. You can see it looking quite mangled now, unfortunately. It's still pretty hard to look at. I'm just watching through my monitor right now, making a little bit less associated with it, a little bit more disassociated, but still pretty tricky stuff. The smell coming off the hippo is starting to become quite pungent. The lion's still eating very noisily. Didn't your mothers tell you not to open your mouth while you chew? Wonder what's happening here now. Sniffing around the area that both the cubs are lying. There's the other one there. What they're sniffing for, or what they're sniffing out. Looks like it was the cubs, or maybe not. Maybe they're looking for the third. I'm not sure what interest they have in these dead cubs. And grunts of these feeding lions. Coraline, yes, I will be definitely watching this one back a few times, probably in a lot less speed as well, slowing it down a bit, and yeah, really trying to have a proper look at what happened, because it was, you know, when you're in the moment, the adrenaline's running and there's a lot of things happening, it's hard to take everything in. So yes, I will be reviewing this footage for sure, just having a better look at it all and trying to see if I can pick up on things that I may have missed or things that others have told me and haven't. Yeah, so it will definitely be worth having a peruse over the footage over the next couple of days and just, well, as I said, watching it quite slowly, seeing exactly what did happen. But even then, as we've only got what we have shot, and I already have heard there are other people that are interested in watching back the footage so that we can have a look. So I'm sure we'll have more information on everything, or a better understanding of things in the days to come. Oh, okay, so Bongai's just pointing out to me this one here is the mother of the cubs, standing away there. You can see just on the outskirts. So this is pretty sad stuff, really, that she's having to stand away and just watch from a distance, obviously not wanting to get too close and looking very slow and sore. Mr. Tick, well, it's hard to say how long they will mourn their loved ones. Obviously, you can see that it does happen, but not for too long. As I said, they are forced back into estrus when they lose their cubs, which is a process of 2 to 3 weeks. And by the end of that process, they are obviously, well, mating with another lion and looking to start the process again. So they can't spend too much time dwelling on it. The lions need to go and eat, they need to go and drink, and so they do tend to get on with life. It's not like we will see sometimes in humans, where it can be a very, very long grieving process. We also have more time, more space to do things as well. Sorry, you will just hear a car engine pulling off right now. You poor girl. Not really looking very sure what to do with herself at the moment. Still just gazing over in the direction of the cubs, the direction of the feast. Oh, that's sad to see how slow she's moving as well, and just looking scared. I wonder if she is going to come back through once these guys clear off. I can't see them moving any time soon though. They've all been kind of taking turns in feeding. Alice is asking, is there a chance one of the cubs was injured and the mum is waiting around to come and get it back and collect it? I don't think that would be the case. I think if a cub was injured in that battle, it would have been killed. I don't think there would have been an injured cub left, and yeah, I don't think that's what she's waiting for. I think she just knows that there are her offspring there, and well, obviously can't move closer right now because, well, we've seen all of the outbreaks. And this one, yeah, just looked, there it is there, so it's not an easy sight to see. That, however, is a very easy sight to see. A very, very easy sight to see, this one. Beautiful sunset tonight in the Mara. Again, that balance of nature, taking the good with the bad. Oh, it seems like this leopard is coming out to play a little bit more, or at least we can see it better now. So let's go to Jimmy, who has found the leopard. Well done.
We've moved up onto the wall now, and we've managed to get a small view of his face, and with a bit of luck, if he does come and drink, we'll be in the right position, and if he moves to the tree which we propose he might hoist at, we'll be in a great position. So we're going to zoom in shortly to the area of the leopard, and you might be able to see a bit more of his face. There we go, Darby. A bit of luck, we can get an eyeball there. What's he doing now? Tom, a dominant male leopard will hold his territory for, they'll be about 5 to 6 when they can take over a territory, and then they could possibly hold it for another, 5 to 6 years. So at about 12, they would be at the end of their reign. So call it between 5 and 6 years. This chap they believe is 13 years old, around 13, and he's still the dominant male. So it's extraordinary that he's managed to do this in this area where there's a large number of leopard. Yeah, he's sadly flopped down again. Oh, can you folks hear that? Baboons calling in the background. It's probably why he hasn't. There they're running across that grassland. It's late for them to be moving on the ground. Yeah, there they are moving towards those big trees. It's quite late for them to roost. We might be able to hear. They'll be quite vocal while they're doing this. Yeah, they're moving across that grassland towards those big ebonies. That's more than likely where they're going to rest for the night. So it's probably why this leopard still hasn't moved. Okay, well, we're going to sit here a bit longer and send you back to Pat with apparently some aggressive lion behavior.
All right, so I'm just trying to get a good position here. So the mother has been chased off by the rest of the pride and now have gone down into this river here. So there was another fight. Wow, okay, so it seems to have died down now. I'm just going to move around a little bit more. Alright, so this looks to be the rest of the pride. Stacey wants to know if the lioness is hurt. Well, I'm not sure. I can't see which one is which at the moment. That the lioness got trampled. She stood her ground. Good on her for that. But she had 5 lionesses all jump her at once. So, sorry, I'm just going to come around here. But yeah, 5 lionesses all came at her at once, and well, they're not good odds. And then the male was trailing at the back. He didn't actually get involved, thankfully. But just more and more happening. Should I go up here or come back around? So, do apologise. I am just in this siding with a couple of other cars, so just trying to navigate the best spots to view here. Yeah. So we can't see him from this side. Sorry about this, everyone. I can confirm, though, there isn't any action that we are missing out on right now. Wow, just when you think things are settling down, hey? So they really were not happy with that mother hanging on the outskirts there and showed their detestment in full force. Monique, I think they are chasing her just because, well, Monique and many others, apparently this is from a lot of other people, they were chasing her because, well, it was opposing a Pride mate, opposing Pride member. They weren't comfortable with her presence. And so they have told her to get going. Oh, it's still more roaring. Okay, oh, so this is... So we have, this looks to be more contact calling. I'm not sure if this is the lioness that got attacked just then. The mother.
No.
It's not, okay. You can hear it coming from over the other side as well, down here. Definitely not coming from these two males who are looking very relaxed now, but I'm just going to go down and investigate this roaring. It's just so much happening tonight, so much. So very much. I'm going to sleep well tonight, I can tell you that much. I feel exhausted just from sitting here and see, oh, we've got one on my very left right here. Same one. Kathy, thank you for your support in saying that I'm doing a fantastic job. I'm glad to hear that. It's definitely feeling a little bit out of my depth tonight with all of that has happened, but I'm glad to be sharing it with all of you. And yeah, it's definitely not what I expected to stumble upon, that is for sure. But wow, what a night it has been. Just every time something seems to have happened, it's and then settles down and then it goes again. It's just a bit to wrap my head around. Okay, I think I'm just gonna come back up and around to our original spot. I think that roaring we were hearing was just the young ones feeding, so I do just have to come up and around to be able to get in position here. So bear with me. I know we all want to get back to the lions. And so do I. Oh, this part, this must be the way the wind is blowing because I'm really smelling that hippo now. Really smelling it. It's been a bit of a week of different carcasses, hasn't it, with the giraffe and now the hippo. I mean, they're both things that predators will eat, but they're not something that we often see as prey items out here, and mostly when we do see it is lions. Although hyena have been known to try to take buffalo out here in those big clans that they do have. Oh, that is rancid. Woo-hoo. I do not envy these lions down here. So Susie, she was from another pride, so she wasn't rejected from the pride. She was part of another pride, and that is why they came at her so heavily and so harshly. Oh, okay. So we are just going to have to watch this sunset for now, as we will need to switch over into infrared soon, so we can keep watching these lions. But for now, let's just watch this sunset. And in the meantime, while we do that, let's go back to Rusty, who's still with the hyenas.
Not much is happening, but the kids are out playing. The parents or the mother is fast asleep. This is June's offspring. And they have had their full belly of milk now. I thought it was going to last a bit longer, but now it's playtime. There is a bit of light drizzle in the air, but they seem to be very relaxed. They've wandered quite far from the den in the last 20 minutes. And the parents didn't, June didn't even look up to even check where they were. But I think they, at this age, they are wandering more and more further. But obviously, while the parents are here, if there was none of the parents or guardians at the den side, then they'll be back in their burrow within seconds of them disappearing. So yes, if the parents are here, then they come out to play. Now, you can see how big these bellies are. They definitely tucked into an impala definitely last night. And all what remains here is a piece of skin with hair on it, which the cubs were playing with earlier. I have no idea where they dragged it off to, but it is not, I cannot see it anymore. Chad. They are not more related to cats, but they have a family of their own, the Hyenidae. They are more related to the striped hyena and the aardwolf, which finds the thing. But yes, they are more closely related to a cat than a dog, but they do branch off before their feline ancestors do. Not ancestors, but feline counterparts. These two. I think they're just waiting for one of these to get up and play with them, but with full bellies like that, their parents, the mother is not doing anything. Just keeping a watchful eye on them. I'm not too sure. We're missing a few individuals. There is two other cubs, older cubs, which I believe, or three older cubs that I've not seen. They're normally up and about at this time, moving around. But the hyenas are known to move from den site to den site. This one has been active for a very long time. So the other hyenas and the youngsters might have moved off, or the mother might have come and taken them for a walkabout, which they can often do. They are probably about 5 months old, or 3 months, 4 months older than these youngsters playing around here. So I think they are gone for a walkabout or moved off to another den. But that's not for certain. I haven't seen any other heads pop out. I believe Ribbon's got youngsters here as well, which we haven't seen yet. Pretty's got youngsters here I haven't seen yet either. So they might just be tucked away in the den site until it gets darker or until their nap time is finished. We are slowly losing light here. We are on, what's it called? Infrared. We're on infrared, so we're not in full color. We have not got a spotlight on because we can see them quite clearly as it is right now. Yeah, I've just been listening to Pat and his lion encounter that's happening in the Mara. It is quite interesting. Faisal, do lions eat hyenas? They don't go out their way to hunt and kill hyenas unless they've got a very big issue against them, but it's not a natural thing to do. But yes, lions have been known to kill hyenas, especially at a kill site, where lions have killed something and the hyenas have come to try to take it away. Lions, especially a pride of lions of, let's say, 2 or 3 males or a pride of females, they will take on hyenas. Now, it all depends on numbers. If there's more hyenas than lions, then there's a high chance of the hyenas pushing the lions off. But if the lions outnumber the hyenas, then it might be a different story. The hyenas can be chased off. But if it's like 2 hyena or 1 male lion against 1 hyena, there's a high chance of that lion killing that hyena. Eating it, it is an uncertain thing. I've just been listening to Pat and the questions going through there of will that lion eat the lion cubs? There is a possibility of that happening. It's not unheard of. It doesn't always happen. I have seen lions kill hyenas and just leaving them there, but I've never actually seen a lion eating and actually finishing off a hyena. There was a case a few years ago where lions killed a feral dog that was not in this area, a different area where I worked, and ended up eating the whole dog. So it all depends on how much food is around, what the competition is, what the numbers are. So it's not necessarily a set fact in, yes, the lions will kill hyenas if they get a chance to, but normally that is not the case. So yes, that it always varies on where and what the situation is like. We can't always tell. But yeah, numbers are the biggest factor on which ones survive and which ones don't. But safety in numbers on either side, hyena and lion side, depends on who lives the longest or how long they live for. So the kids have disappeared around the corner, and there's no movement out of the adult females here. They're looking very content. Janet, has Corky moved to another den? I am not sure. I need to go back and just talk to Trishala, Tristan and Jamie. They have been at the den site the last few days and see who has been spotted. Excuse the pun, spotted hyena. I've just caught that. But yes, I am not too sure who's around here. I'm sure they are still here. I haven't heard of anyone moving off. But it's not all the time you see all the individuals out at the same time. So unless we go through like 2 or 3 weeks of not seeing a certain individual here, then we might presume that she or he has moved off to a different den site with the one's cubs. So we are not too sure, but I cannot say that for sure yet. I just have not seen the older cubs around here at the moment. But these 2 younger ones out, I just presumed that the older ones will be out as well. But who knows, they might have. So they just popped out in front of the car and given themselves a front. Well, while we stay with them for a bit longer and see who else pops out from the bush, we're going to head over to Jimmy with his hiding leopard.
We are still on the dam wall. It is drizzling a bit heavier. The baboons have settled down now, and the leopard is lying in the bush still. So we have possibly 1 or 2 spots that we can see. And the wind is picking up slightly. So we have no option but to sit tight for a little bit longer and hopefully see what happens. The baboon have definitely gone to roost now, so they've just stopped vocalizing shortly. And I can't quite see what the visual is here, but is there any visual at all?
Very tricky. I'm not even sure if that's him.
So until he actually moves, we're not going to see too much of old Tingana. But we will sit and be patient. Do I prefer sitting with leopards or lions? That's a great question. In this situation, probably lions, but generally I prefer sitting with leopards because they are more often than not more active. They're exciting. I find them very exciting animals to watch on the hunt and moving. I just generally preferred leopard, but certainly lions in stealth mode and on a hunt are also extremely exciting to watch. fever. Is that an Australian accent? No, it's not an Australian accent. It's a South African accent. So, no, but I am married to a New Zealander, so maybe I've taken a bit of the southern accent on. But no, definitely South African. Any view there, Darby?
Not much at the
Not
moment.
much at the moment, yeah. Well, we're going to sit tight here a bit longer and head you back to Pat in the Mara.
Well, everybody, we have it switched over into infrared right now, which is why you are seeing everything in black and white. Well, not, yeah, black and white, we'll say. And so it's just essentially a light that the camera can pick up, but the animals cannot detect, nor can us humans. So it just minimises our impact by not having to shine lights so much. But the pride is starting to take rest. We can see there's a few on the outskirts of the carcass, still a few getting their fill. As I said, they were kind of taking turns in feeding, where there would be a group of them and a few on the outskirts, and then a few more would come in, a few would leave, all just filling the many bellies that there is to fill right here with this marsh pride. Nice little bit of grooming going on there. Sharon, I think we might have seen the last of the battles now that that female has been chased off. So there'll probably be a little bit of a scuffle or two around the actual carcass itself in terms of food. Perhaps maybe if a scavenger in the form of perhaps a hyena or a black-backed jackal decides to come through, there might be a little bit of violence there. But as for the pride fighting that we were seeing earlier, I think that has subsided now with that last female, the mother of the dead cubs, now moving away. So yes, I mean, I say that cautiously though. I did think that it was going to be a lot more settled down earlier, and then bang, off they went again. So it's been quite edge of the seat stuff. It's gone from peaceful to action to peaceful to sort of action. It's just been a real roller coaster, Francis, well, it seems for now that the male lion is, well, at least one of them, I can see one of them is still staying here with the marsh pride. And so it doesn't seem like they're trying to take over. But I did see, if it was the Kitchaway male, I didn't get to ever see either the identifying features of the half-tail or the fang, the missing canine, which distinguishes two of the Kitchwa males. I didn't actually get to properly identify them, so I'm not sure if it is. But if it is, I did see one of them mating the other day with an unknown lioness. So they're obviously, I'm guessing because they are running with the Marsh Pride right now, that may have been a Marsh Pride member. But we couldn't put an ID on the female and therefore don't know. But it seems for now that they are staying with the Marsh Pride, or at least one of them from what I can see at the moment. It's very interesting lion dynamics. Not often we see such intense, heated fighting. B. Parkins, the mother didn't bring her cubs to this pride. There was 2 prides that have crossed through this area today. So there was the Olololo pride and the Marsh pride. And so the mother didn't bring her cubs to this pride. There was just a territory dispute and that they happened to come to this spot. So it wasn't like that mother was just with the marsh pride the whole time. There were other lions here earlier. So you're just going to see a little bit of light. There's other vehicles here flashing a red light as well to help minimise interfering with nature, but it's just coming into shot a little bit. So if you do see a light shining around, that's all it is. This head has been more than devoured. Still, this little one here trying to pick away at what is left. There must be something very, very desireful in the head. Sean, well, hippos do have teeth sort of like elephants, but not really. So hippos will have the premolars and the molars, but they have a lot more and they are a little bit smaller than that of elephants, whereas elephants just have those 4 big molars, or two premolars and 2 big molars, but they have a lot less teeth than the hippos. And then, of course, the hippos have the 2 upper tusks and the 2 lower, or big teeth. And then the elephants just have those 2 incisors for their tusks. But both being herbivores, obviously they do utilise the premolars and molars, as do a lot of herbivores, for the crunching and the grinding. Very nice night out here in the Mara. Very nice indeed. It's just that perfect temperature, just a very slight cool breeze and very, very calm. So I'm going to soak it in and send you back down to Rustus.
Well, with everything that's happening in the Mara, we do have a very peaceful moment here. These hyenas have not moved one bit, but the youngsters, on the other hand, are running backwards and forwards into the hole, out the hole, and I can never make out what they're chewing on. It just looks like pieces of stick, but it's quite hard to see. I'm going to just move forward a little bit. It is actually drizzling here, so the weather is not that helpful for any of us. Can you manage that with that, Craig? There we go. What is he chewing on? I can just hear it in the dark. I think it's a piece of bone. But yeah, I think they decided to just hoist it up there. You can actually see it's quite damp around the edges here. We've got this steady mist or drizzle coming in. That's made it a little bit uncomfortable and cool. Cool for us, I suppose. These female hyenas that have got stomachs the size of basketballs, I think are appreciating the coolness, because obviously when they're that full, their temperatures are through the roof. When they're that full, their temperatures rise and they need to be able to cool off. So the temperature is just right for them. These youngsters seem to be tucking into the bone. A bone that was just lying around here, probably from a previous kill that was dragged back. Oh, they are absolutely gorgeous. They've kept us very entertained in the last 20 minutes. They almost ran into the vehicle just now. And of course, it's like we move and then they get a fright. And they run back to the hole and then come out again. I'm still waiting to see if any of the others will pop their heads out. Be interesting to see who's here and if anyone has left. I couldn't agree with all of you. It's quite special being able to share these moments and be able to send it back to you on the other side of the world. It's such a peaceful moment here compared to the Mara. But the Mara is having its natural behavior of the lions. There's not much we can do about that, to just observe it from a distance. It's never easy, but it is how it is. But it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the next few days go, because I'm sure that hippo carcass that the lions are eating is going to be there for in the next few days, and the lions are going to be consuming it, to just see what the dynamics of the pride work out at with the killing of the 2 cubs. Yep. I actually quite envy that little one going back into the hole and hiding. I think it's a lot warmer in there and drier. But maybe if the other youngsters are in there, it'll be quite full. But at least it'll still be quite warm. I was hoping for them to maybe make a call as it's coming up to that time of the evening. But it's very quiet here. Very, very quiet. It's just the wind blowing. We've got very little else calling or moving around. I think every now and again we can actually hear one of the adult hyenas pass wind, which we are happy to tell you we are not downwind from them anymore. We moved around because the smell was really bad. Michael Fleetwood, you miss Plonk and Pretty's cubs. Yeah, we haven't, like I said, I'm sure they are around. Well, Pretty is here, and I'm sure if she's here, her cubs must be around here somewhere. They must be tucked away in the den side. And she is extremely full at the moment, so she will not be moving anywhere just yet. So that's a good indication. If she's here, her cubs will be here. But Plonk, I have not seen Plonk and Corky here today or this afternoon, but I'm sure they'll be around. Corky is at an age where he will be following his mother around further and further from the den site. Last time I saw him, he was very active and running around, and he actually disappeared off a while back when we had an altercation with an elephant here that chased them off. But these two, or the one that's left here, is very content. I think it has a full belly. I'm sure that it will go back to suckling in the next couple of hours or so, or as the night continues. Nope. Curiosity gets a bit of them. They don't want to miss anything either. Oh, nope. Oh, Isabella, how beautiful. I agree with you. Hyenas do have a reputation of being these nasty, hairy, bald, smelly creatures, but they play a vital role in the natural ecosystem here, as well as I don't think they're ugly at all. I think they their own personal beauty. As they, obviously, if you see them tucking into a kill, then it's a different story. Then they look a bit nasty. But as they are now, I think they're very beautiful. And having the cubs playing around here, they're just part of the chain, and yeah, just highly, I think they're just beautiful animals and should be regarded a bit more highly in the system. But yeah, as you can see, the adults, both the moms, both Pretty and June, are passed out. I know in a few hours' time, I can almost push you down in about an hour and a half, I will be looking the same and passed out in the bed. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here and start heading home. I'm going to link you back over to Pat and what's happening in the Mara and see what's unfolding there.
Well, a little bit of sleeping going on here, but still just those couple of lions left feeding on, well, there's still a bit of this hippo. It is a bit hard to see because the skin hasn't really been removed. It's more so been eaten around. So I couldn't accurately say just how much is left. But it does seem like they have made good work throughout the day. It's been a lot of heads, a lot of faces in there feeding. And it looks tough. It does look a lot tougher from just sitting and watching this to eat hippo than, we'll say, the giraffe that we saw the other day with the Owino. So they seem to be getting into that a little bit easier. Even the buffalo that I saw with the sausage tree pride, they were just making a little easier work of it. again, I think it's just because of that thick skin that these hippopotamus have. So I was saying last night there's a night that was going to stick with me for life, with those baby elephants playing about. Tonight it will also stick in my memory, but for very different reasons. Very different reasons indeed. Mike, will the hippo in the water make it undrinkable? Well, for humans, most definitely. I have seen lions drinking from this water within the last 20 minutes or so. So I think if they can handle stomaching the carcass, then they can stomach what's in the water around them. That's not to say there won't be little nasty things, especially as the days and the weeks progress. Well, more so the days than the weeks, though. As it does progress in this hot heat, there will be quite a lot of unpleasant things let off, but nature has its way of dealing with those things as well. We as humans are used to living in a clean and controlled germ-free environment. Well, not germ-free, but, we are very, very sanitary species, and therefore probably can't handle as much as the animals can that are constantly being exposed. Can we hear that? That's a woodpecker. How cool is that? It could be a territorial drum, it sounds like. Or perhaps not. Definitely a woodpecker. No, it would depend on the species as to whether it was a territorial drum. Faisal, well, that's an interesting question. It does obviously depend a lot on the individual, but a lion will, if we have to put a time on it, so at about 2 weeks without food is when they're really going to start losing conditioning. So there's a stage of kind of no return where their metabolism is just not working anymore, and so they can't put the energy into digesting food, and everything starts to go a bit screw-whiff. Even if they are eating, they won't be able to come back from it. So at about 2 weeks or so is when a lion will really start to lose that conditioning. But say if they have had a big feed and have gorged, then they won't really even need to eat for the next 2 or 3 days, even longer. Until they start to feel the need to go out and hunt again. But the real limiting factor is water. So they can go, as I said, weeks sometimes without food, but without water, it's just a matter of days. I'm sure there is those outside exceptions of ones going longer, but water is the real limiting factor. And the fact that lions can absolutely gorge themselves. So that if they do have a big feast, they can really keep it down and keep them going for quite some time. I've heard of lions eating up to 65 pounds, so 25 to 30 kilos. Can you imagine fitting that much meat in your tummy? I couldn't. That would really, really give you the meat sweats. Gee whiz, but that, as I said, keeps them going. Sometimes, well, prevents them from going. It can be a little bit debilitating sometimes to watch them walk around and try and move and navigate the landscape with those giant barreling tummies. You see it a lot in hyenas as well. Waffles being a great example. Seen her looking very, very fat. Well, it has been a very up and down drive, a very intense drive. There's been so much that has happened. It's just been wow. It has been wow. Well done to Jimmy, new driver, taking a leopard. Very cool to see. Thank you to everyone down in Juma. It has been very great. I haven't really listened out too much to what's been happening. I do apologise because of all the chaos that's happened here. Anyway, we will be back in the morning 5:30 to 8:30 Central African time. I hope that you can all join us then to see what more unfolds. But in the meantime, it is time to say good night. Thank you all for joining us.